The Vietnam War, 1955 to 1975, was a conflict of extreme innovation, desperation, and psychological warfare. While most of the war was fought with conventional weapons, helicopters, and guerrilla tactics, some of the more bizarre plans and operations border on the surreal. One of the strangest was a psychological operation involving the undead, or ghostly tactics aimed at terrifying the Vietcong. The concept: psychological warfare. The Vietcong were known for their stealth, psychological intimidation, and intimate knowledge of the jungle terrain. To counter this, U.S. and South Vietnamese forces sometimes relied on psychological operations (psyops), designed to exploit fear and superstition. Ghost stories, supernatural myths, and local folklore were well known among the population. U.S. military planners believed that exploiting these beliefs could reduce enemy morale, forcing guerrillas to flee or surrender. This led to some of the most unusual operations, which were sometimes described by soldiers as using the undead to strike fear into Vietcong units. The operations. While details are murky and many accounts border on legend, historians have documented a few notable tactics. 1. Sound effects at night. U.S. forces used recordings of ghostly wails, screams, and tribal chants played through loudspeakers in enemy-held areas. The intent was to disorient and terrify Vietcong patrols, making them think they were under attack by supernatural forces or spirits of the dead. 2. Manipulated corpses. In some operations, corpses of Vietcong soldiers or animals were left in conspicuous places or arranged in bizarre positions to create the impression of curses or divine punishment. These tactics aim to exploit local beliefs in spirits, ghosts, and karmic retribution, hoping the enemy would avoid areas or abandon positions. 3. Booby traps with a scare factor. Some traps combine traditional explosives with fake ghostly figures, skeletons, or effigies. The psychological shock, combined with the threat of death, was intended to amplify fear and chaos in the Vietcong ranks. Effectiveness and controversy. The undead tactics were rarely decisive militarily, but they did sometimes succeed in creating confusion or hesitation among enemy forces. Soldiers on both sides often recounted eerie experiences in the jungle, though many of these stories were exaggerated over time. Critics argue that these operations were morally questionable, exploiting superstition to frighten human beings, of limited practical value, since Vietcong fighters often understood the ruse and adapted, a reflection of the frustration and creativity of U.S. forces facing elusive guerrilla tactics. Despite this, the tactics remain a fascinating footnote in the history of psychological warfare. Legacy. The use of undead strategies in Vietnam highlights the importance of psychological operations in modern warfare. How belief systems and fear can be manipulated as tools of strategy. The bizarre and experimental nature of some military tactics in extreme conditions. While not widely known, these operations contributed to the lore of the Vietnam War, blending fact, fear, and legend. They also demonstrate how combatants will explore unconventional methods when traditional tactics are challenged. The Vietnam War was as much a battle of minds as of weapons. The U.S. attempts to use the undead against the Vietcong, through eerie sounds, staged corpses, and supernatural-themed traps, illustrate the extremes of psychological warfare. Though rarely decisive, these operations remain one of the strangest and most haunting stories of the conflict, revealing both the ingenuity and the moral ambiguity that defined much of the Vietnam War experience.